Hey guys, another video. This time I beat another game in my October gaming marathon already. The survival horror games are generally quite short, so I might be able to beat quite a few this month. I'm not sure though. Um, Now, before I talk about this game, Fatal Frame, I did try another game before this. I tried a Haunting Ground on the PS2. And I don't know, I played maybe 2 or 3 hours of it, and I had the same problem with that game as I did Clock Tower 3. I played that game like years ago, where it's one of those games where you have to hide from enemies. You can't actually fight enemies or kill enemies. You got to hide in hiding spots. Um, and I don't know, I'm just not really a fan of that style of gameplay. Um, it's excuse me. It's I don't know. I find it kind of it ruins the exploration factor of the game for me when I'm constantly having to worry about these enemies that are chasing me. And I find it kind of tedious, and I don't know. It's just not my style. I know a lot of hardcore survival horror fans like that and find it makes it the game more scary, adds up the tension, ratchets up the tension. Not really for me though. So it's not my type of style. So I dropped that game. Fatal Frame, though, I did complete. Took me, I think, like 9 hours. This game's not too long. Um, Now, this is a premier game in the survival horror genre. A lot of people love this series, especially the second one. From what I understand, the second one is like the one that everyone says is one of the best horror games ever made. So I'm definitely excited to try that one. Overall, Fatal Frame, it's okay. This is a decent game. I have some issues with it. A lot of it is because this game is very, it follows typical survival horror conventions, a lot of those conventions that I don't like, and I'll talk about them later. But we'll start with the story, which, as with Rule of Rose before this, it's my favorite part of Fatal Frame. It's basically you play in the beginning. You play this character, Fuyu, I think his name is, who explores this haunted mansion. I don't want to spoil why this mansion is haunted. The Himuro Mansion, I think it's called. And you play for a few hours as this character, and then you'll just be transferred to your sister character, and as you explore this mansion looking for him, because he kind of disappeared. So you go to this mansion and start looking for him, and you uncover the secrets behind the hauntings and why there are ghosts in this, or why there are ghosts in this mansion. It's got like a very Japanese horror feel to it, which I think is really cool. Usually I'm not into these kind of supernatural storylines with hauntings and, spirits and ghosts, especially in terms of movies. Like, I can never take them seriously, like Paranormal Activity and shit like that. Like, I just can't get into those types of movies. Like, I found them really laughable. But when it's done in a video game like this, I find it far more engaging and interesting. And this game storyline kind of engaged me. It's a very indirect storyline. A lot of it is finding notes throughout this mansion that your brother left behind and other characters have left behind, and you kind of have to fill in the blanks yourself. It's not a very direct storyline, but at the same time, it's not super confusing like Rule of Rose was for me. So I really do like the storyline. As far as I know, there's a few different endings you can get. Which is, adds a lot of replay value in that regard. So the storyline overall, I thought it was quite good. It could have been maybe a bit better. Some of it was kind of typical. Like none of the stuff in the storyline you'll see and encounter hasn't been done before. But it's pretty well done. Yeah, overall the story I like it. It's the rest of the game that some of it put me off. Visually, I'll put up some gameplay. Visually, I actually really like this game. There's not much color to it. It's a very brown, black and white game, a very gritty game. It's got a neat texture filter to it. Everything just looks like there's a lot of detail in the game. It's hard to make out of a lot of it, but it adds to the atmosphere. I find like this game, the atmosphere I think goes along with the graphics. This game's got a good atmosphere. It's not creepy. It's just very dark and foreboding, which I think works well. Visually, it's actually a pretty good looking PS2 game. I think the other Fatal Frame games look probably even better. So I was definitely not too bothered by the graphics in this game. I thought they're quite good. I'm not really much of a graphics whore, anyways, but they're good here. Audio design this game definitely shines though. A lot of cool sound effects. You'll hear creaking and you'll hear ghosts doing different things. You have like these cool screeching effects, and just this game plays with sound really effectively, and that kind of adds a lot to the game's atmosphere as well. Music is very like it's very ambient and kind of like it's very minimal. There's not too much of it, but it again it adds to that atmosphere. It kind of gets louder and more crazier the more you're in contact with ghosts, and then it kind of quiets down when you're just exploring the mansion. So the audio, the sound design in this game is really fantastic. But with that, we come into the gameplay, which is where some of my problems are with this game. Now this game, I must admit, for when it came out, and I still think the series as a whole is pretty damn unique, in the sense that the ghosts you encounter in this game, you have to fight them using a camera. You kind of walk around in a normal survival horror fashion. There's no tank controls or anything. The controls in terms of walking around are quite good. The running speed is not so slow like it is in Running Rose, where it gets annoying. But it can be annoying in terms of backtracking. There's a lot of backtracking in this game, which is one of the things I didn't like. The mansion itself's not very big, and you have to keep coming back to the same places over and over again, which I found kind of annoying. The map's pretty good, but a lot of times I was just lost in this game. The game, like a lot of survival horror games, it's not good at giving you directions. It'll just like the puzzles in the are very cryptic. I'll talk about that later. Actually, I just mentioned before the camera concept, which it's very cool. Some ghosts won't attack you. There's some ghosts that will just pop out for like a few seconds, and they provide a lot of the jump scares in the game. I will say this game is not... I didn't find it scary. A lot of people think the Fatal Frame games are very terrifying games. They're the scariest games out there. Hopefully maybe the second one will get me more, scare me. But this game, other than a few moments where I got startled, this game didn't really scare me. Then again, I'm kind of a hard person to scare. Like, movies don't scare me. Games, other than maybe parts of Silent Hill 2 and 3, games don't scare me. Like, TV doesn't scare me. Like, I'm not a person that scares easily. So this game didn't really do that for me. But anyways, this camera aspect, it's very interesting in the sense that you have to kind of, when you encounter these ghosts that will attack you, you kind of have to hold the camera on them, the camera viewpoint on them, and a meter kind of charges up, and then you have to take the picture. Depending on how charged up that meter is, you'll do more damage to them. And when you kill ghosts, you kind of get experience points to kind of upgrade your camera, and you can get these different special abilities with the camera. Where you can paralyze ghosts. It's actually a really neat system. I just wish the combat was more fun. It's kind of irritating in the sense that a lot of these ghosts are extremely fast. Like, they'll just rush you like crazy. They can go through walls, and they'll just teleport right behind you and hit you and take off like half of your health. You have a health meter, yet you die in 2 hits anyway. So I don't even know why it's there in the first place. There's healing items too that you can use to, heal yourself. I just found combat very annoying in this game. Because the enemies can hit you and there's just no way to avoid them because you move very slowly. While you're in the camera mode, you can walk back and forth and left to right, but it's so slow you can't. It's almost useless unless you're trying to back away from an enemy. And I don't know, it's one of those things where the combat I was constantly frustrated throughout the game. I was never having fun. Some of the ghosts aren't too bad, but a lot of that too has to do with the fact that you're in these very short corridors. There's not too many wide open areas in this game, so it's basically impossible to dodge these ghosts. I just found it annoying constantly being hit when I shouldn't have really gotten hit. You'll be just trying to take pictures of the ghost and running around trying to escape from the ghost as he's chasing you. All of a sudden he'll just disappear and then teleport right in front of you and then hit you. And there's nothing you could have done to prevent it. It really gets annoying, especially later in the game when you have to take on a lot of ghosts all at one time or in a row. It really got on my nerves. Not as much, though, as the puzzles, which this is one of those aspects of survival horror games I've never liked, and I actually didn't know that the Fatal Frame games had puzzles, but they do, if this game's any indication, and I flat out didn't like the puzzles in this game. They're very cryptic. A lot of times, I guess they kind of make sense, but you constantly have to refer to old, research papers that you pick up, and if you miss certain ones, you won't be able to progress, and you'll be wandering around aimlessly looking for the one specific thing you need to get past a certain section. It's like sometimes you'll get stuck and you'll need to somehow progress through a certain door, and you have to go like 30 minutes backwards, backtracking through these environments through this mansion to figure out to get to the place where you actually need to be, and then you have to go all the way back. It's just a lot of wandering around doing nothing in this game. And it's really annoying too when you're trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing and where you're supposed to be going, and ghosts are constantly respawning. They respawn, kind of throughout the game. And I don't know, I didn't find fighting the ghosts that scary or terrifying. I just found it kind of more annoying than terrifying. But the puzzles themselves, they're very, I don't know, I found them very irritating. And the game likes to trick you out a lot too, and it makes the solutions seem a lot harder than they are, if that makes any sense. But yeah, the combat and puzzles really didn't do much for me. There were times when the combat system, when it did work well, when I was able to dodge ghosts and take them out, it could be fun in spurts, and the storyline kept me engaged enough to get through the game. I think this is a much better game than Rule of Rose. Like, it still plays decently. I don't know. I don't love this game as much as a lot of other people do. But again, I think that might have to do with the fact that survival horror games typically aren't my favorite genre out there. Like, I don't hate them. I'm not a crazy super fan. I think the Silent Hill games are like the only ones that are consistently enjoyable to me, and that I really like. Anyways, don't know exactly what game I'll play next. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.